The village of Hollow Creek was a place of shadows. A perpetual twilight clung to its crumbling houses. Twisted trees clawed at the sky, their branches like skeletal fingers. A chilling silence permeated the air, broken only by the rustle of unseen things. The wind whispered secrets of a dark curse. A palpable sense of dread hung heavy in the air. The villagers had long since abandoned their homes. Empty windows stared out like vacant eyes. The remnants of their lives lay scattered, a testament to a hasty exodus. The curse of the ogres had claimed another village. Generations ago, the men of Hollow Creek had dabbled in forbidden magic. They sought power but found only damnation. Their ambition twisted them into monstrous ogres. These creatures, once human, now thirsted for blood. Their hunger was insatiable. The curse lingered, a malevolent presence woven into the very fabric of the village. Any who dared to enter Hollow Creek risked a gruesome fate. The ogres slumbered, waiting for fresh prey. The village was a tomb waiting for its occupants. 6 adventurers, driven by greed and a thirst for glory, approached Hollow Creek. They sought the legendary Sunstone, rumoured to be hidden within the village. Ignorant of the curse, they laughed and boasted of their impending riches. Their leader, a grizzled warrior named Ragnar, spoke of splitting the treasure. Ilara, the archer, notched an arrow, her eyes scanning the tree line. Zephyr, the nimble rogue, checked his daggers, a sly grin on his face. Elias, the scholarly mage, clutched his spellbook, muttering incantations. Luna, the healer, adjusted her satchel of herbs, a worried frown creasing her brow. Completing their group was Gavril, the hulking berserker, who swung his axe with reckless abandon. He yearned for battle, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. They were a formidable group, skilled in combat and magic, but they were no match for the curse. They entered the village, their laughter echoing in the unnatural silence. They saw the deserted houses, the scattered belongings, but dismissed them as signs of a recent bandit raid. Blinded by their avarice, they failed to see the true horror that awaited them. They walked into a trap. As darkness descended, the adventurers set up camp in the village square. A crackling fire offered little comfort against the growing chill. The shadows seemed to deepen, twisting into grotesque shapes. The wind picked up, carrying whispers that sounded suspiciously like growls. An unsettling feeling of being watched crept over the group. Ragnar distributed rations, his usual boisterous demeanor replaced by a quiet apprehension. Ilara's keen eyes darted around the perimeter, her hand never straying far from her bow. Zephyr's usual playful banter ceased, replaced by an unnerving silence. He felt eyes on him. Elias nervously flipped through his spellbook, searching for protective wards. He felt a dark energy permeating the village, a power that made his skin crawl. Luna tended to a small cut on Gavril's hand, her touch unusually hesitant. The air crackled with unseen energy. The fire flickered, casting dancing shadows on the surrounding buildings. The whispers grew louder, more distinct. A low growl echoed from the outskirts of the village. The adventurers exchanged uneasy glances. They knew something was wrong, very wrong. The ground trembled. A guttural roar shattered the night's silence. From the shadows, monstrous figures emerged. The ogres, their eyes burning with malevolent hunger, had awakened. Their twisted forms, once human, were now hulking masses of muscle and bone. Their skin was a sickly green. The adventurers scrambled to their feet, weapons drawn. Fear replaced their earlier bravado. Ragnar bellowed a war cry, trying to rally his companions, but the sight of the ogres, their fangs dripping with saliva, was enough to send chills down their spines. The hunt had begun. Ilara loosed an arrow, but it bounced harmlessly off the thick hide of an ogre. Zephyr's daggers found purchase, but the wounds were shallow, barely slowing the beast down. Elias's spells fizzled and died, the dark magic of the curse disrupting his arcane energies. Magic was useless here. Gavril, fueled by rage, charged into the fray, his axe whistling through the air. He managed to land a blow, cleaving through an ogre's arm, but the creature barely flinched, its remaining hand reaching out to crush the berserker in its grasp. The ogres were relentless. Section 5. A Symphony of Screams, Ilara's Demise. Ilara, realizing the futility of her arrows, scrambled up a nearby building, hoping to gain a vantage point. But an ogre, its senses heightened by the curse, followed her. It clambered up the crumbling walls, its movements surprisingly agile for its size. Ilara let out a scream. The ogre reached her, its massive hand closing around her throat. She struggled, kicking and clawing, but it was no use. The ogre's grip tightened, crushing her windpipe. Her screams turned into gurgles, then silence. The ogre tossed her lifeless body to the ground. Her screams echoed through the village, a chilling symphony of terror. The other adventurers, caught in their own desperate battles, could only watch in horror as their companion met her gruesome end. The ogres were merciless. The wind carried Ilara's last breath away, a mournful whisper in the night. The curse claimed its first victim. The others were next. Section 6. The Berserker's End, Ragnar's Last Stand. Ragnar, his face contorted in rage, fought with the fury of a cornered animal. He swung his axe with abandon, cutting down one ogre, then another. But the creatures kept coming, drawn by the scent of blood. He was tiring. An ogre larger than the others charged at Ragnar, its eyes burning with primal fury. It slammed into him, sending him sprawling to the ground. Ragnar struggled to his feet, but it was too late. The ogre raised its massive foot. The ogre brought its foot down, crushing Ragnar's ribs with a sickening crunch. The warrior's battle cry turned into a choked gasp. His eyes glazed over, his life ebbing away. The ogre roared in triumph. Ragnar's body lay broken and twisted, a testament to the ogre's brutal strength. The curse had claimed another victim. The remaining adventurers fought on, their hope dwindling with each passing moment. Section 7. The Silent Thief, Zephyr's Fate. Zephyr, relying on his agility and stealth, darted through the shadows, trying to avoid direct confrontation with the ogres. He used the darkness to his advantage, striking quickly and then retreating, but the ogres were relentless, their senses heightened by the curse. He climbed onto a roof, hoping to escape the carnage below. But an ogre spotted him. It clambered up after him, its movement surprisingly swift. Zephyr was trapped, cornered. Zephyr made a desperate lunge, his daggers flashing in the moonlight. But the ogre swatted him away like a fly. He landed hard on the ground below, the air knocked out of his lungs. He couldn't move. An ogre descended upon him, its massive hand closing around his throat. Zephyr's struggles were brief. His eyes widened in terror, then glazed over. Silence. The ogre tossed his lifeless body aside. Another victim claimed. Section 8. The Scholar's Folly, Elias's End. Elias, his spells ineffective against the dark magic of the curse, resorted to his dagger, a weapon he was ill-equipped to wield. He fought bravely, but his movements were clumsy and uncoordinated. He was no match for the ogre's brute strength. Surrounded by 3 ogres, Elias made a desperate last stand. He lashed out with his dagger, managing to inflict a minor wound on one of the creatures, but it was a futile gesture. The other ogres closed in. One ogre grabbed Elias, lifting him high into the air. He screamed. The ogre squeezed, its massive hands crushing the scholar's bones. Elias's screams turned into a sickening crunch, then silence. Another life extinguished. The ogre dropped Elias's mangled body to the ground. His spellbook lay open beside him, its pages fluttering in the wind. The knowledge it contained was useless against the curse. Section 9. The Healer's Despair, Luna's Sacrifice. Luna, her healing skills useless against the ogre's brute force, watched in horror as her companions fell one by one. Despair gnawed at her soul. She knew their quest was doomed. She saw Gavril, his body broken and battered, struggling to stand. She rushed to his side, trying to offer some comfort in his final moments. But it was too late. An ogre approached, its eyes fixated on the dying berserker. Luna stepped in front of Gavril, shielding him with her own body. She knew it was a futile gesture, but she couldn't bear to watch him suffer any longer. The ogre, its hunger insatiable, struck her down without hesitation. Luna's sacrifice bought Gavril a few more moments of life, but it was a short reprieve. The ogre turned its attention to him, crushing him beneath its massive foot. The last 2 adventurers were gone. Section 10. Silence returns. With the adventurers slain, the ogres retreated back into the shadows. The village of Hollow Creek fell silent once more. The wind whispered through the empty houses, carrying the scent of blood. The curse remained unbroken. The sunstone, the object of the adventurers' greed, lay untouched in its hidden chamber. It would remain there, waiting for the next unsuspecting souls to fall prey to the curse of the bloodthirsty ogres. The cycle of death would continue.